During my tenure, tremendous increase electricity access over 75% was realized. There was also generation rose to 2,912 megawatts, and the construction of the high voltage transmission lines were recorded for the last 9 years.
It's an interview you've been waiting for, and that was a snippet of the exit speech by former Devolution CS Charles Keter last week. Now, analysts say that he may have gotten caught up in the crossfire of the Uhuru Ruto political fallout, losing the influential energy docket in the process. Then, a quiet interlude at the Devolution Ministry gave way to a quest for the seat of governor in Kericho County. He's live on Newsnight this evening, and remember, your questions, your comments, 22422 is the SMS line, and the hashtag is Newsnight. Let me welcome Honorable Keter to the broadcast this evening. Karibu sana.
Asante Waiga.
Thank you for finding time for us. I reckon this is the first time you've been, in a sense, out of government in one state or the other since, what, 2002?
Since I joined politics in 2002.
How does that feel like?
Fantastic, when you don't have a boss calling you in the morning. You can take your time, you are the boss of yourself.
For you, it's a bit of a break.
A break.
I'm curious to know a little bit about your two recent last assignments. You were in energy for a long time, and then you are moved down to what some described as a stripped-down devolution ministry. Analysts say that this was a demotion. Was it?
I don't think so. All ministries are the same. In fact, for me, it was a promotion, because I learned a lot of things, having stayed in energy since an assistant minister. I mean, for me, it was a new field, which I really, within the shortest time, I wish I had time to stay even for 1 year. Would have learned a lot of things. But for the 3 months I was there, I enjoyed it very well.
I mean, in theory, all ministries are the same, Honorable Keter, but one has to say the budgets that ministries contain, the parastatals under them, for example. Wouldn't you say that devolution was a much quieter stint than energy?
Of course, it is quiet. It depends. I mean, energy, you are dealing with the livelihood of people. I mean, electricity is... people will call you when there is an issue. But, I mean, devolution is policies. I mean, there are so many policies you will do and dealing with different levels of people. I mean, not the day-to-day activities.
Okay. We'll be talking about Kericho County shortly, and I know there's something you're planning in regards to that. But before we move there, we saw several cabinet secretaries exit the Jubilee administration, either under a cloud of suspicion, doubt. Some were pushed out because of the nature of politics. Yet you survived to live on your own volition, so to speak. How did that happen?
Well, I don't think anybody was pushed out. I mean, it depends on an individual. I mean, if you are a performer, nobody will push you out. I mean, His Excellency the President exactly in the cabinet told us you have to work. And that is what I did. I left politics aside and concentrated on my work. That's why you never saw me anywhere.
I want to reference immediately, and if you can play that clip again, your exit speech, the CS's exit speech. We actually just played it, but maybe we can play it one last, the CS's exit speech. Because there's something that you stated there that I want us to understand before we talk matters Kericho. Can we have that clip up? Do we? Okay, we'll be having it up shortly. And it was a speech where you stated what you did in energy and in the devolution ministry as well. If we don't have it, I think we can just proceed. Okay, we'll be getting to that. Before that, let me read you what you said. You stated that during your tenure, there was a 75% increase in access to electricity. We have it now? Let's listen.
During my tenure, tremendous increase electricity access over 75% was realized. There was also generation rose to 2,912 megawatts, and the construction of the high voltage transmission lines were recorded for the last 9 years.
And I'll keep calling you CS.
No, it's okay. Once okay. A CS is a CS always.
Once a CS, always a CS.
Yes.
Help us understand this. We know that the Jubilee government has connected more than 3 million people to electricity since 2013. You might have even higher data than we have. If that is the case, and you took that as an achievement, why have the revenues of Kenya Power not increased?
Well, if you see the connectivity between when the Jubilee administration came in, it was about 2.3 million households. And as it is now, maybe up to December, it's about 8.5 million households. So in terms of the percentage, is around 70%, rising from about 29%. That is the number of the individual customers connected. And these are low level. I mean, these are the last mile connectivity households, which are paying about 15,000 shillings connectivity. So even if you see in their revenue base, I mean, it's about 2 billion. I mean, it's not so much revenue earning to KPLC. But as a constitutionally, it is a must that every Kenyan must get access to electricity. And that is exactly what Jubilee administration embarked on.
Could this have been done differently? Economically, it doesn't make sense that the power distributors' revenues continue to drop, even as you tout reaching more Kenyans with electricity. It doesn't make sense.
If you see, these were on-cran money to KPLC. They never used their revenues. So their revenues were insulated. These were money on-cran through Treasury. I mean, money from World Bank, AIB, African Development Bank, which came in different phases, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So it never jeopardized the revenue base of KPLC at all.
So what jeopardized the revenue base of KPLC? If you know what it's going through, right?
If you see all the power utilities, not only KPLC, even if you see the UK, the other day it was in the media. I mean, UK, ESCOM, the revenue of power utility across the world, I mean, they are not doing very well because the cost of materials, I mean, is very expensive compared to the revenue base. I mean, so that really affects the performance of KPLC. Vandalism is also there. I mean, it is their illegal connection. I mean, people wanting more access to power, hence causing system losses. If you see the system losses of KPLC is about 23%. What is provided for under the IPRA law is about 19.9%. Therefore, before even you sell a megawatt or a gigawatt hour, you are losing about 5 shillings.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's fair enough to say that, you know, power distributors, power generators around the world are going through various challenges. But when you hear that in 2021, a global energy rating company put Kenya at 4th highest in terms of the cost of power in the region, on the continent as well, did that alarm you then? You were Energy CS then.
If you see the cost of, I mean, our tariff was cost reflective. It had never been subsidized. Other jurisdictions, I mean, you talk about other countries, they were subsidizing their revenue, their tariff. Kenya's tariff has never been subsidized. It is just the market driven.
So there's nothing that could have been done about it?
Yeah, because what happened is, if you see the era we are coming from about 2001, when there were acute power shortages. I mean, that is why we imported the emergency power, which was very expensive, costing about over about 35 shillings per kilowatt hour. Come about 2006, those were replaced now by the thermal power plants. They are still high, maybe about 20 shillings. But if you realize from about 2006 coming down now, the Kenya impact on geothermal generation, which was about less than 10 shillings. So therefore, it is a process. To achieve a competitive tariff, it is a process because the power plants which we have to pay. They are very expensive power plants, and we still run, even right now, we still run thermal power plants, which are very expensive. There are contracts which are binding us, and these are contracts which were signed. I know of about 2 contracts which are lapsed, I think 2020 and 2021. So, and that is what we worked on. Those which are lapsed, and they are very expensive, they are not being renewed. Because what happened, there was a study which we engaged to assess what can we do. And it came out to say that to terminate all the thermal power plants, I think it was about 2018, if I'm not wrong. It was costing about 60 billion. So when you work on the cost element, it didn't make any cost saving at all. So we said, let them run as we pay until their PPA ends. And that is exactly what the approach which we adapted.
You've spoken about binding contracts, Honorable Keter. It's under your tenure that Kenya signed many power purchasing agreements with a number of independent power producers. Now, analysts cautioned the government that Kenya's electricity demand is not growing fast enough to enter into those many PPAs, but government still went ahead and showed predictions that our electricity demand will grow. Now, that did not happen.
What happened
Honorable Keter, why?
What happened is, if you look at those power purchase agreement, they were signed a long time ago. from about 2015, if their power purchase which was signed was the Kenyan, there are about 3 only which was signed, which is about, the Kenyan one is about 6 shillings and 90 cents. Those are cheaper power plants, and some which are the one of the solar, Karisa Solar, which is about 5 shillings. And then
so
about
for you,
4.
all the others happened before your
These things happened a long time ago, because the power plant, it is a 20-year, to between 20 and 30 years. So it's not a question of being signed now. These were long-time commitments which were made.
Is that the reason why Kenyans, and a lot of the messages we're getting today are, can he explain to us why our bills were so high? They believe you're the man with the answers, Kenyans watching this program this evening. Is that the reason why power in this country has been so high for so long that the president himself, last year, actually almost took it as a personal project?
One of the reasons, under the Vision 2030, there were a lot of projects to have been done. You remember when we came in Jubilee administration in the year 2013, there were a lot of pipeline projects to spur the development of the energy sector. One of them was the industries, which never happened. So the investment which was done, I mean, under substation, generation, there was so much investment. And one thing, Waiga, you need to know is we used to have unreliable power. We used to have unstable power. But if you realize for the last about 3 or 7 years in Nairobi, we have stable power because of the investment and the grounding cable which was done. So for me, where I can say is you'd rather pay 10 shillings for power which you can get reliably than to pay 5 shillings for power which you can get it maybe once a week or twice a week, because the others you compensate by running the generators. Waiga.
Could Kenya Power have been reformed earlier?
There have been reforms in Kenya Power. When I joined, all the employees of Kenya Power were under permanent and pensionable. We started the reform agenda by having the general managers on contract. Then we moved to the level managers, and then to the
You're talking about personal reforms. I'm talking about system reforms to make it more efficient.
You see, the system has been run by people. Even if you have an efficient system without proper staff with targets which are achievable, you cannot achieve any results, Waiga.
Okay, you were telling me, so you started with those reforms, managers on contracts, etc.?
Yes.
Sorry, I'm giving you a chance to finish your statement.
So all the way to the county business managers, so they are now on contract. And now out of that, they are bet on their performance, on how to perform. Because if you're on contract, you go through appraisal before your contract is renewed. If you cannot perform, then definitely, Waiga, you cannot renew your contract, I mean, than being permanent and pensionable.
So for you, what the president began was a continuation of what you had been doing?
Exactly. Exactly, Waiga.
And, okay, I ask you this because, and I'd like a sincere response from you on this one. There is a perception that the energy sector, and one which you oversaw for at least 5-6 years, has been controlled by cartels. As the immediate former energy minister, is there any truth?
That is false, Waiga. As you said, perception. There is no truth about it. There are no cartels in Kenya Power. If there are cartels, this is a company which is audited every year. It's a listed company in the public and Capital Markets Authority. So I mean, it has a lot of scrutiny. CMA is there, so you cannot say this is a company which is run by cartels. KPLC and Kenyan are listed companies.
How would you rate your performance as energy minister for the time that you were there?
Well, I think, I cannot say myself. I think with the assistant of my former peers, Engineer Joseph Njoroge, and the team of the energy sector, I believe we did the best we could.
Do you believe that cheaper energy is achievable? Is that a sustainable goal in this country?
It is going to be, it is sustainable, but it takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time. It
That's
takes
what
time.
You tell Kenyans
it takes time because you see, you are getting cheap power plants to replace the expensive power plants. Unless the government, like Ethiopia, if you see the Ethiopian generation, the government invested everything. So you'll find the generation cost in Ethiopia is about 2 shillings. So 2 shillings compare with our own generation, which is not done by the government. It is done by the private sector. I mean, Kenyan is get loans. They're also private sector which are generating the power plant. So it will be achieved.
Where did we go wrong with the energy discussion in this country and how we implement, with your experience in mind?
I think if you look back to the history of the energy sector, I mean, from the way I said, from 2001, when there used to be acute power shortages, and then now the country made a decision to rush for emergency power plan, and then now the thermal power plants, there was no any other option at that time. It was a question of investment. The investment started after the election of 2003. That is what I'm saying. Under 2006, we saw the investment under geothermal power plants being funded, and that's why now the power plants which are there are cheaper.
Okay. I know we have a soundbite from when the president now ordered for reforms in the sector. Let's listen to that briefly.
In honor of this pledge to the nation, and response to the concerns of the high cost of electricity raised both by individual customers and enterprises, I am pleased to announce to the nation that the reduction of the cost of electricity will be implemented in 2 tranches of 15% each, with the first 15% achieved through initial actions focusing on system and commercial losses, and this will be reflected in people's bills in December of this year. A further 15% reduction will happen in the first quarter of 2022.
Honorable Katera, I want to give you a chance to respond to that. Of course, I believe at that point you were then transitioning, if not already transitioned, to the devolution ministry. Some would ask, could we have done some of the measures that the president spoke about earlier? And if not, why?
Well, I think if you listen to the president's speech, he mentioned 15% first phase to be achieved through commercial and technical. If you see, and the commercial I don't know because I left the sector, but I don't think the commercial and technical losses are below 20. I told you the baseline is 19.9. I wonder, we can check that even tomorrow, you can see. It's still, I think it should be about 23%. Mm-hmm. So I don't think the 15% is achieved through the commercial and technical. It is a process because you need to put in money, you need to put in resources, you need to, these are caused by vandalism and whatnot, you need to zero in on that so that you can lower the commercial and technical losses, which takes time, maybe another 3 months or so. But on the other part, the 15% is to cut down on some of these areas, which I'm not privy to that. I'm not privy to how they achieve the 15%. I really don't want to. I want to talk to where I left it.
Okay.
Yes.
Talk to me about where you left it in regards to the independent power producers. Did you at any time, whilst CS try to find out who they are, who are the owners of these independent power producers?
You know, most of the independent power producers are funded by either World Bank, IFC. I mean, if you look at that, there are various companies. It's not an individual. And it's there. They signed a contract with KPLC.
There are those who believe that they are politically connected, that these are politically connected companies, so to speak.
I don't think there is any. It should have come out by now.
So in the 6 years that you were there, you never saw the...
Even if you see in
political machinations or...
I never saw it. Because to get a power purchase agreement, Waiga, is a process. It's not a 1 year or 2 years. It takes even if you see Lake Turkana, it took almost 10 years for the power plant to be up and running. So it's not something which you can easily get to know.
You earlier on mentioned the rural electrification program, and I want to get your thoughts on that. The last mile connection, and this was really part of the Jubilee manifesto. How much did that eventually cost up until the point when you left? How much did it cost to get last mile connectivity?
The first phase was the on-grant to KPLC was 15 billion. That is from African Development Bank. Mm-hmm. Second phase, again, they gave another 15 billion, that is 30. And then World Bank gave almost the same again. That comes to about 45. And then there was one AIB. So it costed almost over 45 billion.
Almost 45 billion Kenya shillings.
Yes.
Did we get value for that money. Fine, it's money from World Bank and from other donors, but it must be used efficiently. Would you say that there was business sense in how the rollout was carried out?
The money, yes, I can say it. We got value for money because for payments to be done, there was auditing at every section. How many customers have been connected? There was a survey to say to arrive at how many customers will be connected by the first phase of the 15 billion, second phase like that. So before any payment was done, and the payment was done is triggered from KPLC through the ministry to Treasury to World Bank if it is a World Bank. So that they assess. It's not an easy thing that they were giving us money. They were paying directly to the conductors.
Yes, if I sound like I'm repeating myself, it's because I want our viewers to get clarity. For those who would ask today, in a brief response, why is my power bill high? After the whole conversation we've had, what would you say to them?
If you see the other components, which if you break down the tariff, there is also taxation on it. If you see the taxation, it's almost coming to about 50%. If your power bill is about 100 shillings, if you see the components which constitute that 100 shillings, 50% is almost taxes. And then the others are passed through, like the thermal power plants which we are running. I mean, from 2013, it used to be about 22%. When I left, it was about 7%. So the FCC, if you see in their bills, there is FCC, which is negligible now, is not so much.
Okay, and so that's the explanation that you would give them.
That is it.
Before we leave this topic, I want to talk a bit of politics with you. Before we get to that, Kimani Ichung'wah has tweeted, ask Keter, his question I asked you, real owners, beneficial owners of the independent power companies selling expensive power to Kenya Power?
Well, the owners are there. These are registered companies in Kenya and abroad. I cannot give them. There are about how many? There are about 10 or so independent power producers in Kenya, and they are there. They are there as a member of parliament. He has that those the Committee on Energy had requested for those information, and they have it.
So you don't want to help?
They have it because the registrar of companies gave them all that. I can't because I didn't carry. I can't mention all of them, Waiga.
Okay.
Yes.
So he should carry out his work as a parliamentarian.
The registrar of companies, he can get it.
He wants to know what your take is on the overpayment to Lake Turkana Power that's been tossed around for refund. That story, 758 million, I believe, was the amount.
I have no idea whether there was an overpayment. Because what happened is on Lake Turkana, there was a delay in the completion of the transmission line, which was done by the government. And then there was Dim Energy to be paid, which was amounting to almost about is it 7 billion, which was paid by the government, not KPLC. Yes. Okay. So I don't know.
We're going to hold it there. Keep sending in your questions or comments. 22422 is the SMS line. Hashtag is Newsnight. And we have Honorable Keter here in studio, a man looking for the gubernatorial seat in Kericho. Honorable Keter, whose call was it to head to Kericho? Was it your call? Was it the people of Kericho?
The people of Kericho.
We hear that all the time. Politicians say, the ground is calling me.
But mine is a genuine one, Waiga. And also the calling also from my side.
So, sorry, go ahead, I interrupted you.
It was also my time also having served in the government. I mean, as a member of parliament for Belgut, 10 years, as a senator for Kericho, as an assistant minister, as a cabinet secretary. Therefore, it was also time, with all those experience I have, to go and develop Kericho.
As you recently, or we've seen assertions that you are aligning yourself with the UDA party. And again, I can give you a chance to correct that now. Now, some say you served President Uhuru Kenyatta, you served Deputy President William Ruto, and yet you went with the party allied to the Deputy President, and there is the choice of the party allied to the President. Which way will Keter's campaign align as we move forward?
Both the President and the Deputy are my friends. The President, I've served under him as my party leader in Kano in 2002. Well, Ruto was the Secretary General, so we've come all a long way. And in politics, Waiga, you have to make a decision. I believe that the success of any country like Kenya now, if devolution really works, which means all the 47 counties work very well, we'll have a healthy country. And I chose to go with the deputy president because of the bottom-up economy. If we can go and develop Kericho, somebody else go and develop Kakamega, develop Kiambu, Kenya will develop Waiga.
Okay. The bottom-up sounds a lot like devolution, but we can debate economic models as we continue. You've talked about you having a cordial relationship with the president and with his deputy. Now, when you joined government as CS, the relation between the two of them was very cordial. Today, not so much. What was your experience working in what seemed to be a divided presidency, working for a divided presidency?
I think for me, for the time I served in the cabinet when I joined in 2015, we've worked without any interference at all. We've never been subjected to any issue. Despite all the challenges which are there, we work as a team with my colleagues. Until last week, Tuesday, when I left, I never experienced anything because I concentrated on working. And that was the call by the president that you people, you deliver.
When you hear politicians saying before the handshake there were cabinet meetings, nowadays there are no cabinet meetings and so forth, should Kenyans believe that rhetoric on the campaign trail?
Well, I think we have had cabinet meetings. We've had cabinet meetings, Waiga, until when I left on Tuesday.
They have been going on.
They've been going on. And the handshake it was between the president and Right Honorable Raila Odinga. It was only the two. The only part of the information which, as when I was a cabinet minister, I got to know is when the deputy president mentioned that he was privy to the handshake before. And those are the only details which I have.
Honorable Kater, now that you've been freed from the shackles of working in government, at least for the next few months, depending on what the people of Kericho will choose, are you able to tell Kenyans what the real reason is or was for the friction between the president and his deputy?
You know, those are my bosses.
And your friends?
And they're my friends. So I cannot say. I can't talk about my bosses and my friends.
So you know, but you cannot?
I don't know. They know. I don't know the reasons. The only thing is they're my friends, both of them. I don't know. They know it. And that question, Waiga, is best answered by any one of them.
Okay. If I get a chance for an interview with either of them, I'll pose it to them. But
exactly.
You recently were quoted in the paper as saying that a fallout would still have happened, even if the handshake did not take place.
But I'm in this studio for an interview, Waiga, and you have asked me the question, not what you read somewhere.
Now, I want clarification. What clarification?
I think the same question I've answered you. I've answered you very well.
You have, for those who are confused, I was going to give you a chance to
I've answered it very well and say both are my friends. Both are my bosses up to now.
No, it's
my bosses.
About that particular statement.
About, they are the ones who know exactly when it started, how it started, I don't know.
What do you feel ails Kericho County, Honorable Keter?
Well, Kericho County is a beautiful county. As you are aware, it's about 2,500 square kilometers. One of the major, I open my phone every day, morning, evening. Health care is a major problem. And my going to Kericho, I want it to work. I mean, if you see, we have only level 2 to level 4 hospitals. They're about 218, but the functional one is about 150. For me, first of all, we must equip those which are there. They must have medicine and everything. So we need to do, I mean, I have the Kericho, we don't have a referral in Kericho. All of us, we come to Nairobi, we go to Eldoret, with a population of about 1 million, Waiga. I want to Kericho those medical facilities which are either in Kapkatet, Sigawet, Londiani, Fort Tenant, Kipkelion, let them work in Amoy, and then we build a nice level 5 hospital.
Now, it's interesting that you come from the devolution ministry. You served for a couple of months before you actually want to serve in the devolution model. You know, should Kericho people choose to have you as the next governor, what do you feel has been the biggest challenge ailing or bedeviling devolution now that you sat on that seat?
I've realized there are so many laws under the County Government Act 2012, under the Intergovernmental Act 2012, which I think had not been done. And I think some of them, they are within the AG. Some of them I left the officers being done. You'll find that even county transfer of staff is not, either county to county is not possible, either even county to the national is not possible. Even the uniformity about taxes between the national and the county. So for me, I learned a lot of things in devolution, and the only thing which we need to work in devolution is to look outside the box. Under the revenue sharing formula, 15 or 30% is not enough to do all the facilities in the counties. So we have to look outside other development partners, which there have been about 2 projects under the ministry. Kenya Devolution Support Program and Ideas Program, which supported some of the counties which were doing extremely well in terms of the auditing queries. So for me, I learned a lot. And that's why I'm saying my experience, we need to do the health sector, we need to do the water and sanitation. Kericho it's ever raining. It's ever raining, but you'll find even town when it stopped raining for a month, then there is scarcity of water. I mean, towns like Litein, towns like Kapsoid, big major towns. I mean, water and sanitation, even the disposal of waste is a real problem. And then, of course, I need to make agriculture work. Agriculture, we have tea, coffee, pineapples, I mean, all kinds of fruits. But we need to move an inch to develop agro-business. I mean, we need to, does it give money to the table, food to the table, or we sell tea and then we become poor? That has been the day-to-day inactivities. But now we need to move it up. We need to create industries. I mean, the lower part of Kericho, there are a lot of industries which are developing. We need to develop industrial hub, so which can generate revenues and also employment. Okay. We need to also up the coffee. I mean, if you see coffee, there is a lot of the lower part of Kipkelion all the way in Amoy, so in Sigawet, we grow a lot of coffee. And those are some of the things which has really propelled me that given a chance, I will do that. You
clearly have your manifesto well laid out, and you, having been a politician before, understand how politics works. Some would like to know, with party primaries coming up, and you've indicated the desired party you'd like to vie on, if you don't get that ticket, what do you do? Do you support the party nevertheless and shelve your ambitions?
I think, Waiga, let me promise you one thing. I've never lost any election, Waiga. 2002, I went in as a new person. Belgut, since 1963, had never re-elected anybody. I was the first in the history to be re-elected. I was the first senator to be elected. I was the first cabinet minister from Belgut since history, full cabinet. Therefore, I'm going into this election knowing that I have competitors, worthy competitors, and I believe with my experience in the government, I'm prepared and I will emerge victorious.
Some feel that your close dealings with Deputy President William Ruto could give you an unfair advantage over other opponents.
Let me say zero.
What do you say to that?
Let me say zero. I'm going in as Charles Keter. William Ruto is not an added advantage. No. William Ruto is concentrating for the presidency of this country, and he needs every vote by all, either my opponents or any other electorates of Kericho in that case. Therefore, I want to say that I'm going in prepared to run as Charles Keter and emerge victorious by April.
We saw some of your colleagues, some who've never been in such a position, resigning to go and seek elective positions out there. Any word of advice for them? You've seen it before.
Well, we've discussed with some of them, and I wish them all the best. I wish them all the best, and they should know that politics, as you said, is preparation. I believe they had prepared very well, and for me, these are my colleagues forever. And I wish them all the best.
You wish them all the best?
Yes.
We've got a few questions. I want to take a quick break, come back, get a few of thoughts. Kericho residents have a few questions for I keep calling him CS, for Honorable Keter. He says, once a CS, always a CS. Keep sending in your questions. 22422 is the SMS line. Hashtag is Newsnight. We come back, get a few more thoughts from former Devolution CS. I think first time we've had you in this studio, I believe.
Exactly, Waiga.
Former Devolution CS, former Energy CS, and now he's got his sights set on Kericho County. We come back with more after the break.